Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
How you guys all doing this very late night review on this Saturday evening? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I am chilling down here in the graphic as we're here for my review of this week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown. We're also going to get into a couple other topics as well from the past couple days. Honestly, not a lot of information on those. Don't get to the SmackDown review, and we are going to be out of here. This is more so of a review that I would have rather done live. But again, with how behind I was on content this week, and of course the Raw review especially only got released this evening, I decided, of course, just to do these recorded. Even though there's a little bit of topic discussion in this video a little bit, which I feel like I'm not going to have too much to say, especially about Andrade. Because there isn't really much out there as to why he got cut today. There's, of course, speculations, but we don't have anything official, really, as to why he got cut after just a year and a half of being back with the company. But, of course, we will have a little bit to talk about the big announcement about WrestleMania 43. And then we're going to get into the review of SmackDown, which my thoughts on SmackDown were good show. It's like I didn't necessarily hate for the most part what they did with advancing like the important storylines, but I also was like, I don't hate this, but we could do better than this, basically is the feel I got with this. I feel that way about the opening segment with Brock Lesnar wanting to call out John Cena, but instead he got R-Truth, and what went down with that. I also feel that way about, Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill, who surprisingly had a pretty good match. Much better than their SummerSlam match. But we're still sticking with Nia Jax getting involved. And again, why is Nia Jax continuously being the one to fight Tiffany Stratton? Again, can we get something different in this women's division? And focus on these women's world titles and not just the Intercontinental title being held by your biggest female superstar right now, in Becky Lynch. I don't know. Like, there's still, some things that I'm, not so sure about. But there was still good stuff on this episode of SmackDown. Despite the fact that, everybody's getting bad taste because of, the business decisions that TKO is making right now, I do feel like the past couple weeks, the build to Wrestlepalooza has been pretty good. I'll say even better than WrestleMania this year, if I'm being 100% honest. Like I said a few weeks ago, of course, now that, they bumped All Out to earlier in the day. But if you're going to go head-to-head with AEW on your shows and really push the envelope, like I said, you better make them worth it. And Wrestlepalooza, again, is looking pretty good. It should deliver. But we'll talk about that, of course, when we get to our preview this coming week as well. So before we get into the review, we're going to talk about a couple of topic pieces. A couple days ago, it was officially announced, and I believe it is part of the last year of this 10-year contract that WWE signed with Saudi Arabia for the multiple shows a year, and of course all the money they get from it. But after announcing that they were getting the Royal Rumble in 2026, you knew at some point they were probably going to give WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia. And that's happening in 2027. WrestleMania 43 has officially been announced for to be in Saudi Arabia. And it sounds like they're going to be paying the WWE, I think I heard $250 million. So they're obviously going to be bringing in the legends, the past old timers. Heck, this is where people are saying we're probably going to get The Rock and Roman Reigns. Which I'm just like, no, please. Again, keep this in mind. Rock is 53 years old right now. He just lost 60 pounds of weight. Is it starting to feel like it is just too late to have that match? And again, the fact that we were supposed to get it at WrestleMania 40, but then, of course, the crowd still wanted Cody. And I'm not going to hate on that. I felt like, that was Cody's rightful moment as well, too. But it's like we had it, and with how great the shape of The Rock was in, how great he was for that match, we could, the tag match that is, we could have done Rock and Roman very well. But of course, it was in the cards for the fans. Now, it's really just showing with how these ticket prices are, where the big shows are being held at. WrestleMania is going back to Las Vegas next year. And with how ridiculous the ticket prices were, imagine how much worse they're going to be this year's show. With them going overseas, and again, too, it's like that, Saudi Arabia is paying WWE all this money, but they're only paying to see certain stars. And again, most of them are old-timers. Ones that are not going to put on the match they put on 20 years ago. So, like I said, although business-wise, I get it. Again, these Saudi Arabia shows really haven't done much for anybody over the years. They really haven't. Like, most of them just feel like glorified house shows. And I think part of it is because, again, they're not like putting on the show who the fans want. Saudi Arabia is wanting certain people on these shows for all the money that they're giving WWE. And again, TKO has kind of been resorting more to ways to make more money. And that's kind of by relying on like the celebrity fans, the ones who could pay the millions of dollars. Like, again, if this keeps up, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to go to another WrestleMania in my life. Again, I'm married now. I have a kid. I didn't have that 6 years ago when I went to WrestleMania 35. I had the flexibility. I don't anymore. I wish I could, because, again, I would love to go back and experience another Mania, but it's just not in the cards for me right now. And like I said, if you have to, at minimum, spend, like, what, like $1,000 on a ticket? Just for one night as well, too, because, again, it's a 2-night special. No thank you. So, I don't know how I feel about that. Especially, again, if TK continues to go kind of on this little money-hungry, hunt, which I've heard that rumors also that TKO is in debt, and they're hoping next year this thing settle down, but things are looking like they're settling down right now, especially if you're going into your first show you're announcing official for 2027 is going to a place that really doesn't value wrestlers like they should. I'm just saying. I mean, the crowd is great, don't get me wrong, yes, but there's just some not so good opinions right now about this. And for crying out loud, I heard in the live chat, the crowd was chanting, was basically saying that WWE sold out by sending the show to Saudi Arabia. So, when the time gets closer in like a year and a half, we'll see how close they all go down with it. Who also is not going to be involved in that show, most likely, is Andrade. It was announced today, no further information, but after a year and a half back with the company, again, he returned at the 2024 Royal Rumble after his AEW contract expired at the end of the year. But be honest. What has Andrade really done since he came back? He got thrown in with the feud with Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. That didn't go the way I was hoping. Like I said, I was hoping that would have made Santos Escobar a bigger star. And they just had that match be like the celebrity appearances. That match was where Jason Kelsey and whoever the other Eagles player got involved with the match. And it kind of, like, again, the match wasn't horrible, but that involvement kind of just like ruined the purpose of the match. This was to help make Santos Escobar a bigger star, but instead you turn it into a celebrity match, and I don't think Santos Escobar ever has and ever will recover. I always thought Santos Escobar could be a main event star, but he's not even on TV. Well, I think he is also more focused on AAA as well, which is another thing too. You would have thought Andrade could have been getting involved with AAA. Because the last match he had was when he tagged with Rey Fenix in the, I believe, in the TLC match at SummerSlam. I think that was his last match. But, like I said, I just don't think, again, it's kind of the same situation with Rusev. Big star, yes, but is there really room at the top for him right now? That's personally why I think he got cut. Because I don't... Although I've heard other rumors, that he doesn't want to make an effort to make his English better. I heard he has some creative disputes, which, I'm not going to lie, I'm still wondering why they have him as a babyface. He is definitely... Andrade has always been more definitely appealing as a heel. But, yeah, I don't know what he's going to do, though. I don't see him going back to AEW because he didn't really have the best run there. And also, he had a couple controversial moments as well. Like, didn't he get into a fight with Sammy Guevara? Like, I don't see him going back there. So where is he going to go? I don't know. So, again, to me, just another... Again, we'll wait for more reports to come out as to, what exactly did go down. Because apparently it wasn't a budget cut. Apparently, it was not a budget cut. And it was not mutual either. So... we'll find out more eventually as to what happened with Andrade. But yeah, Andrade has been released for the second time from WWE in his career. All right, let's talk about SmackDown, guys, and get rolling. Like I said, SmackDown had good stuff on it. But it's like, there's still like that little lingering, like, okay, I need a little more, but this was good. Like this opening segment. So, the show opens up with Brock Lesnar coming out. And before he can speak, he's supposed to be addressing John Cena. Here comes R-Truth. And they have a little bit of a nice little, comedy segment where, of course, Brock's telling Truth he has to shut up. But Truth says he's going to go a different route, and he's going to become the first superstar in this ring in front of the universe, live to say, Brock, welcome back. But then he said he used to be scared of Brock, but he ain't scared no more. And Brock was like, you don't even know who you are, and you better have a good reason to interrupt him. Truth said that you've been disrespecting my childhood hero and older brother, John Cena, for the past 25 years. And then Brock, all confused, goes, how old are you? And what's your name? And he answers, R-Truth, and he's done with disrespect. Now Lesnar says he's here for one more thing. He's looking for John Cena. And he asks if Truth knows where he is, which is kind of dumb, despite the fact because we all know he was advertised for his last SmackDown last week. He's not going to be on SmackDown anymore. You got to go over to Raw and see Johnny Boy, Brock. And then he asks Truth knows where he is, but Truth says he does not. But also Brock says, why is he in his ring? And Truth says he's here to defend John Cena. Lesnar asks if Cena is his brother. Truth says he's his older brother. But Brock asks if his name is R-Truth. Truth goes, no, it's Ron Cena. And then all this like back and forth, like, it was basically a comedy promo. But eventually it does end with Brock Lesnar, F5, and R-Truth. And that is what was that. Again, it was funny. But here's the part that bothers me. this is the I mean, I know it's been 2 years since he's been back, but the last time we saw Brock, he feuded with Cody, right? What was the story? There was no story and no reason given as to why Brock turned heel and targeted Cody Rhodes. Now, we're kind of getting the same thing here with Brock Lesnar and R-Truth, with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. We've really got no reason. I mean, we had a video package later in the show that they explained the history between them. Okay, but it's like, you know, John, storyline otherwise, never picked Brock to be involved in his tour. But now, I don't get the route we're going with this. And again, this is the second time in a row where they kind of have Brock just go after someone, but for no reason. And I don't like that. Again, Brock Lesnar, I think, is more working as a babyface when he's in a role where he gets to talk more and not have Paul Heyman as his manager. But as a heel, it's like, I don't understand it. I'm confused. So, again, good on the comedy part with Truth and Lesnar, but again, my goodness, like, you know, again, why can't we just get like a clear answer for Brock as to why he picks his victims? Just saying. Oh, and also, when Brock went to do the F5 on Truth, he freaking tore his pants. That's embarrassing, but whatever. Brock probably just shook it off. After that opening segment, though, we have backstage, Sami Zayn is talking to somebody off screen how he's going to be giving him a shot for the U.S. title, keep the open challenge going. And the camera pans over, and it's Fenix, which sounds pretty awesome to me, if I'm being honest. Before we had the match, though, we had Sikoa cutting a promo in a dark room saying, I've lost my bloodline. I've lost the tribal chief garland. And I've lost my title. But I'm going to do whatever I can take to get it back, right? Yeah, Solo, again, I'm done with you. Again, you were freaking built as the enforcer. And then once the bloodline fell apart, and then of course once Jimmy got out of the storyline, whenever you went to business for yourself, you were just a chump. Again, I'm sorry. I have tried to still believe that Sikoa is going to be a main event star. And he's not. I gotta see proof that Solo actually is going to get, a serious direction and not just have him in a stalemate both like chumps. So we have that, but then we had Fenix and Sami Zayn having an excellent one-on-one match. Again, I appreciate at least that they're giving Sami this thing with, he is doing the open challenges and whatnot. I at least appreciate that. But again, I still feel like him winning this U.S. title is just taking away from the fans wanting to see him win this upcoming Royal Rumble. Because again, I feel like they set the stage with that one episode of Raw where Seth was trying to get Sami to go to SmackDown so he doesn't have to deal with him and whatnot. And he refused. Like, ever since that night, I'm like, you gotta get this to Mania. But again, if Sami's going to keep winning matches, he's not going to be such an underdog. People aren't going to care as much, unfortunately. Sami Zayn, though, does get the victory. We have footage of Kiana, James, and Giulia talking trash to B-Fab about Mia Yim, and B-Fab wants to have a match. Of course, the match technically never happened. I guess they're setting up another match with Giulia and Mia Yim. I don't care, to be honest. So there's that. Wyatt Six had one of their promos as well from, wherever their compound is and whatnot. We have Aleister Black having a promo saying he's environmental. He is taking care of Damian Priest, and he is both the sickness and the cure. Damian can keep fighting this and live by his code, and he'll be the sickness, or cannot. And they're going to show the world just how hateful and destructive they can be together. So they're obviously teasing for another match with Aleister Black and Damian Priest. Fine by me. Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton had another shot for the women's championship. Much better match than what we got at SummerSlam. SummerSlam, again, was just short, kind of went through the motions, but this one was better. My only complaint, though, was why did Nia Jax get involved? Again, can we please give Tiffany Stratton other opponents besides Nia Jax? Seriously. I'm sick of it. I'm tired I just want something different, and I'm not getting anything. So, that match ended in a no contest. So, it's probably going to set up for a triple threat, probably. Maybe in, I don't think they'll do the Wrestlepalooza. They could, who knows, but whatever. So after that happens, Chelsea Green goes into to Nick Aldis' office, whining for a tag title shot, and they said they'll get it basically once Charlotte Flair heals her injury. There was also a backstage segment where Carmelo Hayes went to go chat with Sami Zayn, saying he wants next for his U.S. title shot. He goes, fine by me. But, of course, Miz doesn't quite like that because he wants to basically keep Carmelo under his wing. But, eventually Hayes will turn on the Miz and he will whoop his ass. Let's put it that way. So, both women are okay, but like I said again, why do they have to keep getting Nia involved? Again, I want something different, but that's too much to ask. And then we had Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. Actually, sorry, Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Before I get there was also Miz, again, not being happy that Carmelo Hayes tried to give himself a U.S. title match. Obviously, he doesn't want to be upstaged and whatnot, so there's that. Main event was Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Match was fine, besides the fact that they were first off, having Randy have, his emotions get to him and want to do the punt on Drew, but they're trying to stop him and whatnot, and other things happening. My question is, why is Randy Orton not snapped yet and turned heel? With how he's been booked since he's been back, he's had some good matches, but he's not really getting the results. Just saying. But Drew eventually gets the win, and afterwards he goes to attack Randy even more, but then Cody Rhodes came out and make the save and challenged for the match at Wrestlepalooza, and that's all she wrote. Like I said, there was some things on this show, again, that I enjoyed. But, again, I have some small issues with some things. So I gave the show a fair B. A fair B because it was still good, but it maybe not be quite as good as that. But you be the judge of that, guys. Again, that's my thoughts on this week's episode of SmackDown. And also my brief thoughts on WrestleMania 43 going to Saudi Arabia and Andrade being released by the company today. So again, leave your guys' thoughts down in the comments section below and slap a like on the video and subscribe more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well to ClubMan93 and also follow me on TikTok and Instagram to Club with the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch y'all later. Have a great rest of your night, and do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself, and that is not something to pay, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!